Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating journey. We're asking you to think beyond, the usual stuff, the wedding, the romance. We want to look at marriage through a different lens, a much broader one, as a social institution. And our guide for this is Stephen L. Knock. He was a distinguished professor of sociology, a leading expert on marriage, definitely. You might know his book, Marriage in Men's Lives.
Oh, yeah. That won the Good Award. A big
Exactly. And he didn't just write books. He consulted on American family policy.
Yeah.
Really dedicated his work to understanding shifts in the family, privacy, cohabitation, commitment, divorce.
And marriage itself, of course.
Right.
The whole spectrum.
Right. So our mission today, to really unpack Knock's key insights, we want to help you get a handle on how marriage works, not just personally, but as this foundational piece of society. Get a more complete, nuanced picture of its role.
And Knox's main point is, well, it's really compelling. He argues marriage is so much more than just the two people involved. It's a fundamental societal structure, deeply embedded. And seeing that's key to understanding its impact.
That idea, more than just two people, a societal structure that does challenge how we usually think about it. So how does Knock actually define this? What does it mean for marriage to be an institution, in his view?
Well, he puts it quite directly. He says marriage is more than the sum of two spouses. He sees it as a relationship really defined by legal, moral, and conventional assumptions. So it's not just about what the couple agrees on privately. Society itself has kind of, codified it, given it collective meaning. And he calls it an institution because it's woven into our basic social structures. Think education, the economy, politics. It sets up these soft boundaries around the relationship.
Soft boundaries, what does that mean exactly?
They're like the commonly understood limits of behavior. The unwritten rules, maybe, they distinguish marriage from, say, just dating or living together. Things like expectations about fidelity or shared finances, perhaps. They're not always laws, but they're strong social norms.
Okay, so it's less a private contract and more like a societal blueprint. It comes with these norms, these expectations. But how much weight do these norms actually carry? Are they just suggestions, or do they really shape things?
Oh, they're much more than suggestions. Knock emphasizes that these norms actively identify married people. They distinguish spouses from others, and they provide the structure. It helps organize ambitions, defines how life should be lived in a way. It really shows marriage's impact goes way beyond the couple, affecting you, affecting society, shaping life paths even.
That reframing is powerful. But then Knock brings in Emil Durkheim, the sociologist. And things get even more, surprising. What were Durkheim's really provocative ideas about why marriage is so vital?
Durkheim saw marriage as absolutely essential, and for some very basic reasons. He noticed that fundamental needs, food, housing, security, these were often organized through marriage structures, but more strikingly, his research on suicide rates, he found unmarried people consistently had higher rates.
Wow.
Yeah. He suggested marriage provides crucial support, structure, a sense of belonging that helps people cope and thrive. And he took it further. He talked about marriage as a disciplinary force, particularly for men. Knock quotes Durkheim on this, and it's quite stark. Let me see if I can paraphrase it closely. It's like, by committing a man forever to the same woman, marriage gives a definite focus to the need for love. It closes off the horizon.
Closes off the horizon.
Right. And this salutary discipline, this healthy restraint, makes it his duty to find happiness within that situation, and it gives him the means to do so. It suggests marriage channels potentially disruptive desires into something stable and socially beneficial.
That is. Yeah, that's a really potent idea. And for many today, almost radical, maybe. It frames marriage not just as companionship, but as the societal tool for managing impulses, guiding people to a moral equilibrium, as Durkheim put it. It feels quite different from our modern focus on unlimited personal choice.
Yeah.
How does Knock bridge that gap?
It's a definite tension. Durkheim saw the restriction itself as beneficial, leading to happiness because desires were focused and attainable within the marriage. But Knock acknowledges, that this clashes with modern ideas about personal freedom. Some people avoid marriage precisely because they see it as limiting.
Sure.
Yet Knock points out something interesting. Even cohabiting couples who might be seeking more freedom often struggle with defining their own boundaries and arrangements. They face similar issues, but without that built-in societal script that marriage traditionally offered.
So even without the formal institution, the need for some kind of structure or agreed-upon rules still emerges.
It seems so. It makes you wonder, if that underlying need for clarity and order persists, even when we prioritize freedom. Maybe what feels limiting also provides a kind of stability.
Okay, so Durkheim shows us marriage shaping individual training and impulses.
Mm.
But Knock then introduces another angle, marriage as something that actively builds a resource. He calls it social capital.
Mm-hmm.
We know financial capital, maybe human capital, skills, and education. But what is social capital?
Mm-hmm.
And how does marriage create it?
Yeah, Knock uses that analogy deliberately. Social capital isn't tangible like money or a factory. It's an asset built from extensive networks of individuals linked by bonds of trustworthiness and trust. Basically, it's the value you get from your connections, your relationships. It's embedded in those social ties.
Okay, so it's about networks and trust.
Exactly. And marriage is a powerful engine for creating it. Think about it. When two people marry, their families connect. Their friends might connect. These kinship ties, as Knock calls them, are different from just being acquaintances. They come with a stronger sense of mutual obligation.
Right, like you're expected to help family.
Precisely. So in times of need, maybe you need help finding a job, need childcare, information, emotional support, whatever, you can tap into this much larger, more reliable network. It expands your resources in a really significant way.
So it's more than just feeling supported emotionally. Marriage literally constructs this network of practical resources. It sounds like an investment, almost. An investment in social support and maybe even influence that pays off over time.
Exactly right. A profound investment. And Knox stresses it's not just for the couple's benefit. These networks embed people in the community. They channel valuable information. They can help organize collective action. Sometimes they even subtly enforce social norms. It really highlights this deeper practical function of marriage. It's creating a kind of social fabric, a safety net that goes far beyond just the two individuals.
Okay, so we've got marriage as an institution, as a disciplinary force, and now as a builder of social capital. That's quite a picture. But how does this play out specifically in, say, the American context? Knock talks about marriage in the U.S. not just being private, but a social contract with specific expectations. He boils these down into 6 dimensions of normative marriage. What are those?
Right. He outlines these 6 core ideas that, he argues, define what normative or standard marriage looks like in America. Even if reality varies, these are the underlying assumptions. Let's see. First, it's expected to be voluntary. People choose their spouse. It's not arranged, typically.
Sure, choice. Makes sense.
Second, the traditional norm has been heterosexual, an adult man and an adult woman. Knox describing the historical baseline here, obviously recognizing legal changes have occurred since.
Got it. Historically speaking.
Third, the idea of principal earners. There's an expectation that both partners will contribute financially. How that balance works varies, but the expectation is there.
Shared economic responsibility.
Fourth, parenthood. A strong societal assumption that marriage leads to having children. It's often seen as, a primary purpose or outcome.
The family unit idea.
Fifth is monogamy, one partner at a time. This is really central to the ideal fidelity, exclusivity. And finally, number 6, social control. This means that law, religion, social customs, they all work together to provide a framework. They shape behavior, aspirations, what's considered acceptable within the marriage.
So society kind of reinforces the other dimensions through these controls.
Essentially, yes. They uphold the institution's norms.
That's a really clear, comprehensive blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
And while obviously society changes, family structures are more diverse, laws evolve, Knox saying these 6 points still form the core of the normative idea of marriage in the U.S. They're like the default setting in our cultural software, maybe.
That's a good way to think about it. Knock really drives home that marriage as an institution is bigger than the individuals in it. It shapes our thoughts, our feelings, often without us realizing it. These 6 dimensions show just how deep those societal expectations run. They influence how you perceive marriage, maybe how you approach relationships, even if your own situation looks different. They're the backdrop against which relationships are often measured, consciously or not.
So, reflecting on all this, what's the main takeaway for you listening? In this deep dive, we've really tried to unpack Stephen Knox's perspective. Moving beyond the purely personal view, we've seen marriage as this complex social institution, as a disciplinary force like Durkheim saw it, as a generator of social capital, and as something guided by these specific normative dimensions, at least historically in the U.S. It's clearly much more than just a private choice.
Absolutely, and understanding these different layers, these functions, really helps you appreciate the huge impact marriage has, not just on the individuals getting married, but on the whole structure of society, our social networks, economic stability, individual well-being. It operates on so many levels.
So, the next time you hear people talking about marriage, or maybe think about it yourself, perhaps you'll see it through this slightly wider, deeper lens. Recognizing all these different roles it plays, the powerful societal forces involved, it's definitely more than meets the eye.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how these deeply embedded societal expectations, these soft boundaries, these 6 normative dimensions, we talked about how might they interact with your own aspirations for partnership. What aspects of marriage, as you see it or experience it in your life or your culture, line up with these norms? And where do they diverge? And maybe ask yourself, why might that be significant for you personally or for your community?